Good morning, everyone. Our forward-looking statements and obligatory disclaimers here, as you can see, technical disclaimer, which says I will be talking about forward-looking statements, and things are sometimes uncertain in our space, as we know. My name is Darren Klinck, President and Director of Arras Minerals, as Joe mentioned, and we were listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture. You can see about 90 million shares out. Teck Resources is a strategic holder, holding just over 9% of the stock, with a market cap of about $45 million. I'm going to change gears. We're going to jump in a plane. We're going to go 20 hours on the other side of the planet, and we're going to get to a place that's very similar to Canada in many regards. It's a big country, Kazakhstan. Small population, big neighbors, lots of resources, both oil and gas and metals and mining, really important agriculture as well. And quite honestly, probably not there, that well known in this part of the world. We got involved here about 3 years ago. We're the really the only North American junior to get in here. This is 20 million people in this country, presidential republic with the parliament, and probably one of the things that really stood out for us when we really kind of got involved here was a government that understands mining, encourages mining, and in a place where one would be surprised that 60% of the foreign direct investment that comes into this country every year is not coming from Russia and China. It's actually coming from North America and Europe. And I'll talk a little bit about that and how this is continuing to evolve and how many of our big brothers in this space are now starting to show up in Kazakhstan, and our overall thesis is definitely coming to fruition. Sovereign credit rating, you've got investment grade bonds that the government has been able to issue. And I think probably one of the most important things that really attracted us was that they did a major overhaul on their mining law. And so in 2018, just before COVID, they effectively changed the mining law, turned it upside down, and copied what works, which is a great model. There's no shame in doing that. And so about 80% of it is actually based on Western Australian Mining Code, with the rest kind of pulling pieces out of Ontario and Quebec. So our thesis here three and a half years ago was that we felt that this was going to be one of the new and upcoming places to explore for critical minerals. Already well-established companies such as Chevron in the oil and gas space, and in fact, Chevron's been there for more than 25 years. I believe it's still their most important asset in this country, and 3 years ago expanded their oil and gas operations there for $46 billion. There's real dollars that have come into this country. Cameco, of course, on the uranium side. Rio Tinto's been there exploring for copper as well. Glencore, a big zinc business. And then just ahead of us, Fortescue got involved, and then we came in, and we've been able to establish ourselves as the third largest landholder in the country focused on copper, behind Rio Tinto and Fortescue. So some of the big brothers, as I said. But you can see what's happened over the last 24 months. Teck is come in as a strategic holder of ours. We also have an exploration alliance on some of our licenses there. The EU's entered into a strategic partnership with Kazakhstan on critical raw materials. Barrick now has come in and got set up a local company, First Quantum. BHP Explorer last year, 2 of the 6 companies that received their sponsorship were in Kazakhstan. And of course, just about every European nation you can think of, heads of states have been through over the last 18 months, visiting, talking about critical minerals and talking about energy security. So this is the place to be. And for us, a big part of this is because they're the country's really, one of the top 10 producers of most things in the world we use today. They're not shy about it. They've been blessed with natural resources. And as you can see, when you put together a modern mining code, competitive fiscal terms, and what you get there is, top 10 in the world for uranium, chromite, titanium, zinc, copper, iron ore, big oil producer, 5th in the world in terms of refined copper. And those 2 open pits that you see there are literally just out the back door from where we're based in the northeastern part of Kazakhstan, the 5th largest coal mine in the world, and one of the most profitable and lowest cost copper mines in the world. And I think that's probably the other key thing that's really been started to be identified by the copper miners. This is a slide we put together. In the top right-hand corner, you can see our project license package. We're about 3 hours from the capital on a 4-lane paved highway. It's pretty straight. It looks like Saskatchewan, this part of the world. except when you get to those big open pits and then the highways have got to go around them. And there's quite a few of those. And so in that area, actually about 60 kilometers from Equibastuz, but you can see our license package completely surrounds the Bochco copper mine. Billion tons. It started operations in 2016. And while it's relatively low grade, if you see it, 0.33% copper, plus a bit of gold, Mining Visuals, which is a group out of Europe, late last year, put together this slide on the left, looking at copper production around the world. And of course, these are all the big companies, the BHPs, the Glencores, the Tecs, the Rios, the Lundins. And you can see that this copper mine, just around the corner from us, despite having a grade of 0.33% copper, call it 0.5% equivalent, is one of the lowest cost copper mines in the world. And this is the Kazakhstan cost advantage. This is what really makes a difference today. You've got cheap drilling, you've got less than 50 cents a liter diesel, you've got 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour power, highly skilled workforce. And so even today, the big majors are struggling with regards to doing expansions in brownfields environments, and this is the reason why we're seeing so much interest, I think, coming from the majors. So I'm going to keep skipping through. We're focused in the northeastern part of the country. There's 3 known porphyry belts. As Joe mentioned, and Joe was there in September and saw this firsthand, we had a significant set of programs across the license package last year. And if we hone in on the Alamos license, which is right in the center, this is an area that we control 100%. It's not part of the Teck Arras Alliance. We took advantage of getting in early. We did a lot of early work, particularly in 2023. Big soil campaign, and identified early last year this big copper and soil anomaly. The next step for us then last year was to kick off some more geophysics, and then we did a phase 1 drill program in the fall, and have just started now to get results back and announce some of those first results here on Wednesday. And so those first results down in the southern end of this 9-kilometer copper and soil anomaly, it's a good start. We've got all 3 holes are mineralized. Hole number 1 is 261 meters of 0.64% copper equivalent, starting from 22 meters. And we've got another 8 holes spread around those blue circles that'll should be coming back from the lab over the next 6 to 8 weeks. But there's also more in this area. So there's not one of these trends, but 2, and this was again the soil work we did in 2023. You can see over to the right-hand side, the Amandai project, untested. That'll be something that we'll start to do some work on this summer as well, and probably get in and do some geophysics, the same as we did at Bereski. But a really good start. I mean, we're on to something, and you can see these grades are at, if not better, than what's just being mined down the road at one of the most profitable copper mines in the world. So the Teck Arras Strategic Alliance, we entered into that about 13 months ago, and I think Teck had identified that as an early mover and the only North American company to come in. We picked up a big land package in a highly prospective area, did a lot of good geological work up front, and so that deal that we announced is Teck last year and this year is spending US $5 million. We're doing all the work, so we're doing it on behalf of them. On those 2 areas in the red circles, and then at the end of this year, Teck will have the opportunity to select up to 4 projects, much smaller, 120 square kilometers each, and then start earning equity. So at the end of this year, we'll have, we still retain 100% ownership, but they have the opportunity to really start earning equity. 4 projects, $47.5 million each. So, a potential $200 million spend over the next few years on moving projects forward, towards resource and feasibility study and hopefully, obviously, mining. So as we wrap it up, and I think I'm going to be able to do pretty good here on this timing, Joe. I think it's for us in a short period of time, 3.5 years, we've come into a new country and got ourselves established, put together an amazing team in Kazakhstan, Russian speaking, and utilizing those a team to go through all these historical reports. Most of the work in this part of the world, a lot of it was done in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Soviet times. A lot of good data, but in many cases it's been overlooked and hasn't had modern exploration for the most part at all over the last 30 years. And so taking that work, identifying then projects and license packages that we're interested in, getting in the ground, And then really in 2022, 2023, starting to launch, field programs. That led to the deal with Teck Resources, identifying that, we were a potential candidate to partner with. And obviously here last year, some big step changes now. We've got multiple large-scale targets that'll be tested this year on the Teck Arras Alliance. And of course, we're already starting to test these new targets at LMS. So in closing, I think, Kazakhstan is clearly becoming a strategic partner for critical minerals globally. The big companies are arriving. It's a friendly place. It's a safe place. I've worked all over the world. I would not pick anywhere else, to be honest, to work right now. Kazakhstan. We've got the strategic alliance. We're getting some good starts with regards to LMS. And as I said, I mean, if I was told this by someone that was raised in Russia, or born in Russia, raised in Australia, married to a Kazakh, lives in London, building a place here. And he said, if you haven't been to Kazakhstan in the last 5 years, you haven't been to Kazakhstan. That's how much it changes. That's the capital city. And yeah, watch this space. Thanks very much.